afternoon. We're Team 6, and we're very happy to be in the twist competition, and I'm Shu.
My name is Joshua.
My name is Mark.
Virginia.
And Bo.
And now we're in the twist competition. The problems we're facing with are mainly three. The first one is that we have to estimate the market share and also estimate the time range we need to reach the target. And the second one is to decide our target market. And the third is to build the awareness. And this is our agenda. First of all, is go-to-market strategy, product roadmap, target market, risks, and questions and answers. Now, we're going to the next page about key stakeholders. And for our agency, we have mainly 4 stakeholders. The first one is the Congress. Well, it's definitely a key stakeholder. And we will have our image shaping program carry on to let them perceive us we're not just doing business, and we're also bring positive social impact to the public and also to the environment. And the second one is customers. And we need to give them strong incentives to encourage them to get involved in the program. And there are mainly 3 incentives. The first one is money checks, and the second one is small gifts. And the third is that because we are cooperating with charity groups, and it will make our customers feel that we are doing the good things to the public and also to the environment. And the third is third-party vendors. And we can deal with the problem they're facing with, that is shipping. And also, we require them to comply with environmental regulations in the contract. And also, we guarantee them that they're getting positive profits by cooperating with the agency. And the last one is potential partners. And it mainly consists of 2 categories. The first one is charity groups like Red Cross and environmental protection groups. And the second category is state and local governments. It's kind of buy-side marketing by having their brand name and logos on our drop-off boxes and bins, and we're also doing marketing for them. So it's just like win-win situation. Now let's welcome Joshua to talk more about the Congress part.
Thank you. Yes, I'm going to talk about the Congress piece, and I'm going to talk about the basic model. So what we see in our model right here is that we are going to be meeting both the Democrats and Republicans' goals. The Democrats want to see, typically when we're putting forward a program, something that can help the environment, that is green. That was also one of your agency's goals. We feel like this model will meet that. And then 2, encouraging business. That's a more Republican, typically, issue. I know we're overgeneralizing here, but for the sake of time, that's what we'll leave it at. So we have three main players in our model here: the customers, your agency, and the e-waste vendors. In this middle section right here, between the mail, the bins, the site drop-off, and the e-waste, this is where your agency is going to see the most potential for gains in the market, where you can come in to an existing market that the e-waste vendors are already capitalizing upon and really maximize your profits, in that you can take out one of their biggest obstacles. Their biggest obstacle right now is shipping the good. Many e-waste vendors are making profits, but due to the price of shipping the recycled goods, they are barely breaking even. The mailing agency can really come in and meet that gap that they can't fulfill. No matter what happens in the model, there will always be a fee for shipping, and later you're going to hear about that, how that's going to be the minimal benchmark that will bring in profits to the company. And that's going to come from the e-waste vendors due to the amount you're saving them and due to the incentive that they have in the expanded market that you're providing. The e-waste vendors right now are only touching about 1% of the population out there. Your agency, as you know, spreads across the country. And we're going to get into the pilot partnership in a little bit, but you're going to have such a greater reach that this will be such an opportunity for them to have so many more customers that we think that they'd like to sign on. Now, this last piece right here gets a little complicated. Once the e-waste vendors have the product, they do 3 things with it. They resell it on the global market, they recycle it or dispose of it, and they refurbish it. The first and the third, that's where they're making their most money. They're not making a lot here. The way the system works right now, the e-waste vendors sell these objects, the cell phones or the e-waste products, and then they give a check back to the customers. This will be the customer's decision. However, you can see there's two green arrows, one going up at the top and one coming down to the charity. This other brown arrow right here, this will be money that comes back to the agency. When a customer comes into one of your agencies and drops off a cell phone, drops off a product, because under the new regulations of many states, they have to recycle these goods. That good that they can sell back onto that the e-vendor can sell back onto the market, that money will be coming back to the agency. Also, they can decide whether or not to have the money go back to them, the customers, or go on to a charity of their choice. That's it for this one, and I'm going to pass it on to Mark now.
Thank you, Josh. I'm going to speak to you today on your go-to market strategy. Number one, first and foremost, we believe that you should pursue a very aggressive advertising and marketing strategy that informs the customers of the incentives of using your service. Namely, going green, earning some cash from their electronic goods that they will no longer receive utility from, and third, abiding by the law, since they will, by 2015, have to recycle their goods rather than throw them out. And we think you can do this in a variety of ways. One is pins, where your mail carrier employees wear pins that essentially say, ask us about our e-waste recycling program. You can have website advertising and social media campaigns that direct your customers to various carriers and find ways of how they can wipe their data before they distribute it, and also give them more general information about the services you offer. Pamphlets that do the same thing. It can also give more information about the various third-party vendors and how to receive quotes for their electronic goods, to get an estimate of how much they would receive if they choose to recycle them in this manner, and also bumper stickers. Very cost-effective ways to advertise. In terms of your focus for your market segment, we think you should focus predominantly on mobile devices and laptops. As you saw in the previous presentation, desktop sales have been going down as more people switch to mobile devices and laptops for their computing needs. And this not only works for you efficiently, for efficiency purposes, but also down to the very cost and benefit structures. As desktop computers are bulky, their variable weight costs will increase tremendously, as they weigh on average 22 pounds relative to mobile devices and laptops. And also for mobile devices, you can see here that they are on the increase, and that this is a very stable market and it will continue to increase according to our projections. Same thing with laptops as well, relative to desktops. And they'll provide a very stable market and be sustainable in the long term. And in terms of the pilot partnership, I would like to pass it on to Virginia.
Awesome. So to sort of scale this up, we've decided to start in the 25 states where it's already a requirement that you recycle by law. We've estimated that these states comprise about 40% of the entire US market. Again, mobile and devices and laptops only. Currently, third-party vendors are recycling about 1% of these markets and turning a profit. So we consider that it's entirely possible to make a great deal of money doing this. We've prepared 3 different options for your agency in terms of the projected growth and occupation of the market. So our first sort of more conservative estimate, we've projected that you'll take 5% of these 25 states in the first year, 10%, 15%, and so on in the next year. Our moderate estimate, we project that you'll grow at 10, and our liberal estimate grow at 40. And so it's also important to note that this is the amount of the market you're occupying, but the money that's coming is really taken as a percentage of the cell phones and of the laptops, the money that's being given directly to the customer in the previous graph. So we've estimated the cell phone costs at 40. We feel this is a reasonable average for what the consumer will get for their cell phone, and we've estimated the laptop cost at 100. So if we go to the next slides, we sort of have projected some cost, revenues, and profits for the conservative, moderate, and liberal estimates over the next 5 years. So you can see, even with a very small share of the market in those 25 states, we can still turn in a $2.6 billion in profit. And Bo can break down the details of those.
Besides the cost and revenue, so we do have like a breakout cost and revenue estimation for each of the 3 scenarios. And for the first scenario, which is conservative, we do have, as you can see from the revenue table, we do have more revenue generated from mobile devices than laptops, which is due to the fact that mobile devices are replaced more often by customers. And the same pattern exists in the second scenario, and also in the third scenario. So, thanks.
And now I will talk about the main challenges and risks and how we address them. And the first one is about awareness and education. And many people are now prefer to just keep their devices as backups rather than to give it to our recycling program. And when the incentives, just like I said in this stakeholder part, we have 3 incentives for them. And we also will try to keep the process simple. And the third is about charities. And we can do some market research and by data collection and to see how our customers feel about our design and make updates and reviews based on this information. And also the third is about third-party vendors. And we have to ensure that they comply with environmental regulations. And fortunately, we have 2015 EPA regulations and state regulations. It will help us to enforce compliance. And the last is the infrastructure program. Although we start from 25 states, it's also big. But we have over 1,000 retail stores across the country, so it won't be a problem. And also we can work with small startups, partner with NGOs and not-for-profits. And we can also use their sites as our drop-off sites. And it will also increase our revenue. And
30 more seconds.
okay, and that's all. And thank you. And now we're ready to take your questions.
Thank you.
I have a question about the marketing strategy. When you did your market analysis, did you give any consideration to trying to pull the vendors of the hardware into the marketing campaign, given that that's primary point of purchase of devices and subsequently lead to the disposal of the existing devices?
One of the things we talked about is targeted online advertising. So for, say we want to buy a cell phone online, and I go to buy my cell phone, and the internet tracks what I'm looking at. And so we would try to do a targeted campaign to people that we know are buying cell phones to get them to have a link to the form on our website where we can print out and have them recycle, send their old cell phone to us to send to our third-party vendors. So,
oh, go ahead.
so sort of use what we can find out from people's buying habits and preferences, as well as cooperating with stores to sort of push that information out to people who are getting rid of old devices.
A lot of the third-party vendors, too, right now we're seeing in the market are already partnering up with FedEx, UPS, different agencies, and that's right on their website, a link to it, where those agencies will send them a package to mail it through. So there's this little bit of a cut deal there. We would like to enter in that same, we would like your agency, we think it'd be a really wise move for you guys to enter into same or similar agreements with those type of agencies, and the third-party vendors have a link on their website that advertises you as the agency that's going forward with this campaign. And we think you can substantially undercut some of these other people that they're making partnerships with. Yes.
Would you go back to the product roadmap slide for a second?
Sure.
The one with the arrows.
There's a couple different
The
ones.
one with
There's swoopy arrows?
Swoopy arrows.
Okay, yeah. We like arrows.
This
in our
one here?
presentation.
No,
Oh,
one more back, maybe. Two more
Oh,
back.
this
That
one.
one.
Yes.
So can you just explain this to me one more time? Explain the difference between money going to charity versus money going back to customers.
Correct. Yeah, that, and I skimmed over that real quickly. So, at the very beginning, the way the e-market, the e-waste market works right now is that e-market, e-vendors are working with customers to buy these cell phones off them, and they'll give them a check for $65, $20 or something like that, and then they'll take a cut of the profit too. Once they get that profit, they sell it to the redistribution or for refurbished resale. That check then goes back to the customer. However, what we think is that there could be a new type of campaign that goes on, where they can have the check come back to them, or they can have it go to a charity. They can decide, you know what, I don't really need the 10 or the 15 bucks, but maybe NPR does, or maybe a new environmental protection group does need this money to help plant something. They can designate another charity on there in this form that you use. Now, there's this other piece, this brown piece. This is not a choice of the person. What happens is there'll be bins, there'll be drop-off sites, and there'll be places you can just put the cell phones or laptops in to mail them in. If they don't designate that they want the check back or the money back, or they don't put a return address on there, that's money that the vendors we're going to send back to them but won't, and we'll have an agreement with them that we will get that not we, but the agency will be receiving that money. Now, there's a concern that we don't want to be seeing as this as like a bailout or anything like that, that the customers are serving or supporting your agency. So what we think that this would be is just basically people coming and dropping off the goods, and then that's a lot of revenue that the vendors will then be sending back to you, but it's not going to be the type of thing where they choose that. It would just be not really default, but
if someone doesn't fill out the form, or is illegible, or there's a mistake, you know, what's going to happen to that check? So what would happen in that case is instead of the money being kept by the e-waste vendors, it would come back to your agency.
And that's separate from the projections that we made too. It's good to be clear that the fee that they talked about, that revenue building, that's just from the fee that we'll be getting from them. That is all extra. But we don't really feel safe right now because we don't have any estimates of how much that could be, how often people will forget it. After a couple of years of seeing how people react, we can then put some projections out there. But we didn't feel confident right now giving you those type of projections.
Can I ask, first of all, nice job. And maybe it was at the beginning and I've lost track of it, but can you tell me a little bit about any element of stakeholder management or the congressional point of view that we have to deal with so often?
Sure. From the congressional point of view, when we were approached by your agency, we really talked about your goals of jumping on board with this green movement and this movement to really become sustainable, to get some new sources of revenue, to help your agency through some financial straits, and to keep it sustainable in the future. We really feel like, one, for a lot of people who are concerned with the budget, who are concerned with government shutdowns, that this would help address that concern. It would show that your agency has some way in the future, some type of plan to keep it empowered and growing. Two, there's this great green movement that your agency is also wanting to do, helping with this huge e-waste problem that's growing around the world. We think that this will really help encourage customers, encourage the people who now under regulation have to recycle these phones in a specific ways, work with your agency to meet that goal. And you can do it much cheaper, and you get a much wider reach than the e-vendors have right now, the e-waste vendors have right now. So we really feel it's kind of meeting both of these green sustainable goals and the economic goals.
And to add on to what Josh is saying, we plan a very wide information campaign about this, which will share these shared goals that many of our stakeholders have. And we also feel like this is kind of an innovative idea, so we'll get lots of free press about it, basically. And that can be very useful for engaging with many different stakeholders, for informing the public how they can get involved, and sort of getting everyone on board and involved in the process.
Thank you.
Great. Any more questions?
If you do have any more questions, just please let us know. You got our email address. We'll be there in a couple minutes.
Good job.